and welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winnick. I'm the founder and CEO at Thought Leadership Leverage, and you're joining us on the podcast, which is Leveraging Thought Leadership. Today, my guest is Nina Urman, and I want to give you just a little bit of her background. She's a mother of 7. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. A former professional tennis player and financial strategist, and she has coached over 200 executives, CEOs, and leadership teams across 30 countries into her program, and has a book out and all sorts of interesting things going on. So her and I first met about a week or two ago, and I was really intrigued by her story and wanted to invite her on to share some of it. So one of my favorite questions, Nina, thanks for coming on, by the way.
Thank you so much, Peter, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So this is one of my favorite questions, and because I kind of know the answer, this is kind of a fun one for me, is like, how did you get here? Like this wasn't the grand plan of here's how I will be in 2025 as a thought leader, but give us the brief journey, because I think it's been a cool one.
Yeah, so I'm originally half Russian, half German. I was born in Siberia, of all places. And no, it doesn't always snow in Siberia. I moved to Germany when I was 9 years old. My grandmother from my dad's side was German and was sent to Siberia.
Yep.
So that's how I kind of came to Germany, 9 years old. Started playing tennis right then. My dad gave me the tennis racket and kind of said, "You're going to be a professional tennis player." So I became it fairly quickly. I was good quickly. I was a high performer, always very competitive. And so at the age of 15, I left to the US to play at the Voluntary Tennis Academy. No more school, just tennis. The reason why I'm telling all this is because it's kind of the prehistory to what I do today, because today I coach high performers, I coach corporate leaders and athletes, so to say. And yeah, it really built my strength. It built my resilience. I didn't become, the number one in the world because I had all of these injuries. But it opened up kind of a door to personal
Right.
development, to understanding
Right.
my mindset. So
Right. So then you bring right. So tennis has a shelf life, right? So even if you
yeah,
had become number one, there's a shelf life, but there's some principles and some ideas and such that you took from that and then moved it into what you're doing now. So talk to me about sort of what you brought with you into your current practice and how you apply it to the folks that you work with.
yeah. So I think one of the principles that I talk about all the time, and that's also the name of my book, is lead from within.
Yeah.
And I think tennis, really taught me that it's all, I mean, in your mind, we speak about mindset a lot, but it also is a heart set, right? Defining what is it that you want and what are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to. So a lot of these concepts come back in leadership teams and they come back in the ecosystem of internal leadership, like what's
Sure.
going inside. Also, in family leadership, which I'm very passionate about, because leadership in general is not just one thing, right? It's like it's a holistic ecosystem. Another principle I speak about a lot is failing forward, right? Like nobody likes to fail, but actually all the people I speak about, that have become really successful, they tell me, it's for failure that I grew. It's for failure. It's through that, kind of hitting it to top bottom that I actually learned what I'm capable of. So that's another one I really love. And then maybe the principle of co-creating reality or creating it
Right.
from the future. Like,
Love it.
connecting to the future self and then reverse engineering.
Working it backwards.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, so these are things that have obviously been polished, they've evolved, they've been refined, they've been tried and tested. What was the epiphany that said, "Okay, I'm done with my tennis career," right? "And this will be the next thing." How did that happen? Because it doesn't seem like the day after you put down your racket, you'd put up a little poster and say, "We'll coach CEOs." Like, probably that's
Yes. No, that journey was, I mean, first of all, I was very lost, right? I was kind of, okay, like I was trained to do this and now I can't do this anymore. So I've had to go back to school, back to figuring out what is it that I want to study. And that's where I was like, okay, I've studied lots of like kind of soft skills before. I studied first communication and psychology. And then I really wanted to do finance and do some hard stuff. And I met my husband at the end of my master degree. I studied 1 year in Paris, 1 year in Moscow, and I was like, "Okay, what am I gonna do now?" I became stepmom to 4 children at the age of 25, and it was kind of like this reinvention moment, and Somebody in my environment, it was a good friend of my husband who said, "Why don't you get a coach?" And it was like, "What do you mean? Like, I've had coaches all my life. I don't want like, the last thing I want is a coach." And he says, "No, no, 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 like, for your life to figure out your thoughts and what you want to do with your potential, and, we have so much to offer." And that's when I became interested in, like, more interested in personal development. I was always interested in, how does the human mind works, but
Yeah.
always high performance. There, it was more like, okay, maybe I can do something, you know, beyond.
So now, so I want to pivot for a moment
Mhm.
to that's how we got here and what the intellectual property and what your thought leadership is. Now let's talk about the business side of that,
Yeah.
right? So tell me about how how your work comes to be and the types of folks that you're working with and what an engagement looks like, and maybe some of the challenges and things that you've learned sort of on the court of business, if you will, to be
Yeah.
well as you have been in this arena.
Totally. So once I then started my business, and first I was coaching one on one, and then kind of worked myself towards groups. And today I work a lot with retreats, and it's mostly CEOs, executives, family businesses, entrepreneurs, hired guns that run their businesses. And it's almost like, okay, the topics that come up are a lot about time and energy management. It's a lot about emotional mastery. Those are the things that I, so to say, teach, but it's always in groups, and there's a lot of transfer of knowledge, a lot of shared experiences. I work a lot with forums. I know you're familiar with YPO, the
Yep.
Young Presidents
Yep.
Organization. It's 40,000 CEOs around the world. And a lot of my work is either with these type of groups, or then within companies, or then within their families. So I kind of,
So stay there a little bit more. Take it sort of one level
granular.
of how yeah, a little more granular in terms of you're tapping into the YPO network because you've identified, and I'm paraphrasing and push back if I'm not getting it right, that's an avatar, right? Like members of YPO, Young Presidents
Right.
Organization, right, are leading organizations in such and such a time, have teams, and could benefit from this partly because there's a little bit of a flywheel effect. The more that you work with a population, the more in demand you become to say, I've worked with 20 other YPO members or whatever. So
Right.
how is it that you tap into the YPO network? And it could be Vistage or EO, or there's a million other organizations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like all of these also I facilitated with IPO is just the biggest one. How did that happen? Well, I mean, it happened very organically because my husband became a member more than 15 years ago. So I kind of was like looking on the outside, like inside and outside, because once you get a membership of YPO, like the whole family just integrates. And I just became a champion, the leader. So in the beginning, I gave a lot of my time and energy to just be
Right.
the give. And then at one point, I was like, okay, I'm going to start building these forums and these groups, and I'm really good at it. And today I do like almost 50 retreats a year, so which is a lot. I told you that this is probably
Yeah, no, 50 retreats a year is sort of cap, but I want to push on. So one of the things you said, your husband was a member. Part of the ethos of YPO is it's not just about the business, it's about the person and therefore about the family. So you fit part of that profile. You can sit there and say, I know what it's like to be married to a member of YPO. I know the challenges that he brings home from a tough day as
yes.
developers. I know the impact that a stressful quarter has on our relationship and our relationship with our children and all that. So there's a signaling of I see you because I'm kind of one of you. I am one of you, right?
100%. Like they totally relate to me and how I see the world, and they like I get them, they get me, and so it's there's a trust factor, right? Like we know that in coaching to change anything, it's always about the connection you have with other people. So for me, the most important thing, what I'm doing today, I would say, like I'm building safe spaces for people just to be themselves.
Right. So I want to go back. And this kind of blew me away when we were talking earlier last week or week before, whatever it was, when you said, "Oh, and I do 50 retreats a year," and I'm like, "Holy cow, that's 100 plane rides or train rides or whatever." Each one requires not just the on-site facilitation, but these things are bespoke, right? Like you've got a set of principles, but they're not. This is not like the job of a keynoter where you get up there, you do your thing for 45 minutes. Facilitation is hard. You have to
Yeah.
understand their context, their challenges, their struggles and all that. You gotta travel there, you gotta prep for there and all that. And you and I talked about, so you have a practice and your practice is maxed out. So now growth
Right.
is a function of, well, they're not gonna have a year with 60 weeks, right? There's only so many, we have leap year, but, there's only so many weeks in a year.
Right.
Ultimately, you could increase your pricing, but the market's gonna cap you at that. How are you starting to think about your own business? Say, I have to move from a practice to a business that's more scalable, or are you considering that and thinking about that?
Yes, I'm like very much considering it. And I noticed one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is like what is my frame, right? What is it that I'm really want to do? And then what's my floor? What am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to? And I've started already like, I'm saying no to one-on coaching and more I'm saying no to retreats because I do want to focus on this family component because I think this is where I can bring the most value and where I'm most passionate about at the moment. So it's bringing all the forum principles that I
Yep.
do with executives into families and still families of entrepreneurs and CEOs,
Yeah.
etc. But really tapping into that. I don't think many people do that. It's like this is
Well,
like an
stay there a second
yeah.
because I think that, or what I should say, what I've observed is that thought leaders are really passionate and they love what they do. And there's an intrinsic motivation, not that there's not extrinsic and financial rewards, but in general, they're really bad at saying no, right? So somebody comes to them with something else, even though they have their vision and their plan, they think, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I would like to do that. Or could I do that or whatever? But I love the fact that you've got the discipline. And maybe this comes from your athletic days or whatever, of knowing what to say no to. I think that's a big thing. And sounds like it took you a while to sort of have that realization.
Yes. In the beginning, I was saying yes to everything, but I think there's seasons and stages in life. I think
Sure.
when you growing and understanding, you're just learning and absorbing, it's great to say yes because you're just learning and expanding your horizons. But I'm at a stage right now where I'm okay, like it's almost like, okay, been there, done that. Like I've
Yeah.
done this thing and I've proven it to myself and other people that I could do it. And now I'm at a stage, okay, where am I the most impactful and how can I scale? Because I do believe that I can reach, like hundreds and thousands of families if I do this right. And if in fact, I built like a board game for families to play with, which I call a
Right.
family circle in a box. And this allows me then to take myself out of the equation, so to say, and or put myself in every box, maybe with AI or digital tools that, I'm
Well, but
still
taking yourself out, I think there's 2 reactions that thought leaders have to that concept. One is utter fear. "Oh my god, like, without me, there's no there," right? Like, it's all about me, right? Like, "Oh my god, it's my identity, it's all I do." And then others are like, "You know what? It's time to make me irrelevant or less relevant or make the business less dependent on if every proposal that you write starts with "and Nina will," you don't have a business, you have a practice, right? And now I think you're at a point where you've developed the frameworks, the models, the methodologies. Yes, it's great that you can deliver it, but that's not the exclusive way that people can experience and benefit from your intellectual property. That's
yeah,
very cool.
I think it's about them now, right? It's like it's most like, okay, this is me, my energy, my products, my frameworks. But now it's like, how can I make this work so like the families can moderate themselves or with guidance and with, digital products that will help them with the game. I'm thinking that at one point, like I am at that stage where basically I'm doing, okay, this is my frame. Then what's my floor? Everything beyond the floor is a no. And then what's the focus? And the focus has to be more than just Nina, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And how are you finding the market receiving that? Because I think part of it is you get a reputation and a brand of everybody talks about you, right? Like, "Oh my god, she did this retreat for us and it was great, and you should bring her in." Like, if there's the referral piece of it,
Yeah.
and now somebody comes into you as a client that was referred to somebody that experienced you, say, 3 or 4 years ago, and you're telling that person, "It's not about me. I have this suite of tools and offerings and solutions and whatever that's part of the mix." Are they taken aback by that? Or how do you find they're reacting to that, or you manage that transition for them?
Yeah, I think it's happening kind of organically, right? Like people, they want value, right? Like there's like, can you give me what I want? And I'm like, well, I can give you this. It's almost like, okay, I can give you a different experience. Is it that,
Yeah.
sometimes people don't know exactly with forum retreats, and I'm happy to refer them to other people too. So, it's almost like, you want bananas or you want potatoes? Like, what is it that you want? And they kind of like, oh, okay. Oh, this is what she's doing now. So it's like, okay, can you refer me to somebody else? Or I'm
If
interested in what you're doing.
if
Like,
that refer out, I think is great, but it takes a level of confidence that like, hey, if you're in the market for bananas and I'm a potato, like
Mm.
I've got a friend that's a banana. Like because I think all too often the thought leader says, well, I know the attributes of a banana. I could kind of do the banana thing for a little bit if that's what they need. But I like what you said earlier. There are seasons, and it sounds to me you're at a fairly developed and mature season of knowing sort of what you're about, what your work's about, who you serve, how you want to serve them. And going back to what we said earlier, the flip side of that is, I'm not a banana.
Right. It's also and also, like, one of my mentors said to me, I think she used a peach, so it's interesting. She's like, "You can be the most juicy peach. There's always going to be people that are gonna be allergic to peaches."
Yeah.
So, it's like also this other way, right? It's like, okay, like, identity is about, like, who am I and what can I provide? And that can be reinvented several times, but I think at your core you'll know what season it is right now. And so
Yeah.
it's interesting, like, but this is new. And I want the people that are listening to this to know that this is not kind of like, oh, a revelation. And there you go. Like,
No, no, no.
in a
It's iterative.
process,
Yeah.
a
Yeah. And
process.
if we were to schedule a call a year from now, I'd ask, hey, what'd you learn in the last year and what's the same and what's different? And you'd say, oh, I was really right about this, but I was wrong about this, or I had to iterate on this and change on that. I think that's really the important piece because, we weren't having the conversations 4 or 5 years ago about how is AI going to impact thought leadership. And at some level, it feels like that's the only conversation too many people are having. Because, at some level the better question is, how do I, as a thought leader, use or not use AI to be better at what I do? Is it a research partner? Is it about systems? Is it about like, there's a lot of things to do with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think AI scares many people also in my field. Like I see them, they're like,
yeah.
oh, how could I use it? But then it's like, is it going to make me irrelevant or not valuable anymore? And I don't see that at all. I'm like, riding the wave and kind of trying to
Yeah.
see how to use it.
Love it. Well, this has been great. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your transparency and sharing your journey with us today, Nina. Good stuff.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much for having me.
To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.